Hi, here for chapter 24, Odd Thomas. So, when we left Odd and Stormy, they were leaving the bowling alley. They were believing that something was going to happen. Odd's dream that indicated there was going to be violence at the bowling alley was going to come true. And so he had called the chief. The chief had sent one of his officers out to watch for Bob Robertson, Fungus Man. And Odd and Stormy had had a conversation with him. And then drove off. So that's where we left it. All right, chapter 24. Viola Peabody, the waitress who had served lunch to me and Terry at the grill just 8 eventful hours ago, lived only 2 blocks from Camp's End. But because of her tireless gardening and painting and carpentry, her home seemed to be a world away from those dreary streets. Although small and simple, the house resembled a fairy tale cottage in one of those romantic paintings by Thomas Kincaid. Under the gibbous moon, its walls glowed as softly as backlit alabaster, and a carriage lamp revealed the crimson petals of the flowers on the trumpet vine, festooning the trellis that flanked and overhung the front door. Without any apparent surprise that we arrived unannounced at this hour, Viola greeted Stormy and me graciously, with a smile and an offer of coffee or iced tea, which we declined. We sat in the small living room where Viola herself had stripped and refinished the wood floor. She had woven the rag rug. She had sewn the chintz curtains and the slipcovers that made old upholstered furniture look new. Perched on the edge of an armchair, Viola was as slim as a girl. The travails and burdens of her life had left no mark on her. She did not look old enough or harried enough to be the single mother of the 5 and 6-year-old daughters who were asleep in the back room. Her husband, Raphael, who'd left her and who'd contributed not one penny to his children's welfare, was a fool of such dimensions that he should have been required to dress like a jester, complete with silly hat and curled toe shoes. The house lacked air conditioning. The windows were open and an electric fan sat on the floor, the oscillating blades imparting an illusion of coolness to the air. Leaning forward with her hands braced on her knees, Viola traded her smile for a look of solemn expectation, for she knew why I must have come. "It's my dream, isn't it?" she said softly. I spoke quietly, too, in respect of the sleeping children. "Tell me again." I saw myself, a hole in my forehead, my face broken. "You think you were shot." "Shot dead," she confirmed, folding her hands together between her knees, as if in prayer. My right eye bloodshot and swollen, all ugly, half out of the socket. "Anxiety dreams," Stormy said, meaning to reassure. "They don't have anything to do with the future." "We've been over this territory," Viola told her. "Odd. He was of the same opinion this afternoon." She looked at me. "You must have changed your mind, or you wouldn't be here." "Where were you in the dream?" "No place. You know, a dream place, all fuzzy, fluid. Do you ever go bowling?" "That takes money. I have 2 colleges to save for. My girls are going to be somebody." "Have you ever been inside Green Moon Lanes?" She shook her head. "No." "Did anything in the dream suggest the place might have been a bowling alley?" "No. Like I said, it wasn't any real place." "Why do you say the bowling alley? You have a dream too?" "I did, yes." "People dead?" Viola asked. "Yes." "You ever have dreams come true?" "Sometimes," I admitted. "I knew you'd understand. That's why I asked you to read me." "Tell me more about your dream, Viola." She closed her eyes, striving to remember. "I'm running from something. There are these shadows, some flashes of light, but none of it is anything. My sixth sense is unique in its nature and its clarity, but I believe that many people have less dramatic and undiscovered supernatural perceptions that manifest from time to time through their lives. Presentiments that come sometimes in the form of dreams, as well as other moments of uncanny awareness and insight. They fail to explore these experiences in part because they believe that acknowledging the supernatural would be irrational. They are also frightened, often unconsciously, by the prospect of opening their minds and hearts to the truth of a universe far more complex and meaningful than the material world that their education tells them is the sum of all things. I was not surprised, therefore, that Viola's nightmare, which earlier in the day had seemed likely to be of no consequence, had proved to be a matter of importance after all. Do your dreams have voices? Sounds? I asked her. Some people's don't. Mine do. In the dream, I can hear myself breathing, and this crowd. Crowd? A roaring crowd, like the sound in a stadium. Baffled, I said, where would such a place be in Pico Mundo? I don't know. Maybe a Little League game. Not such a big crowd at one of those, Stormy noted. Wasn't necessarily thousands of voices, could have been a couple hundred, Viola said. Just a crowd, all roaring. I said, then how is it that you see yourself shot? Don't see it happen. The shadows, the flashes of light, I'm running, and I stumble, fall on my hands and knees. Viola's eyes twitched behind their lids, as though she were asleep and experiencing the nightmare for the first time. On my hands and knees, she repeated, hands in something slippery. It's blood. Then shadows whirl away and light whirls in, and I'm looking down at my own dead face. She shuddered and opened her eyes. Tiny beads of sweat stippled her forehead and her upper lip. In spite of the electric fan, the room was warm, but she hadn't been sweating before she began to recall the dream. Is there anything else, any other details? I asked. Even the smallest thing might help me. What were you? I mean, your dead body. What was it lying on? A floor of some kind? Grass? Black top? She thought for a moment, shook her head. Can't say. The only other thing was the man, the dead man. I sat up straighter on the sofa. You mean another corpse? Next to me, next to my body. He was sort of tumbled on his side, one arm twisted behind his back. Were there other victims? Stormy asked. Maybe. I didn't see any but him. Did you recognize him? Didn't get a look at his face. It was turned away from me. Viola, if you could try hard to remember, I said. Anyway, I wasn't interested in him. I was too scared to wonder who he was. I looked at my own dead face and I tried to scream, but I couldn't. And I tried harder, and then I was sitting up in bed, the scream squeezing out of me, but only just the wheeze of a scream. The memory agitated Viola. She started to get up from the chair. Maybe her legs were weak. She sat down again. As though she were reading my mind, Stormy asked, what was he wearing? What? Him in the dream? One foot bent back, the shoe half off, a loafer. We waited while Viola searched her memory. Dreams that are as rich as cream while they unfold are skim milk when we wake, and in time they wash out of our minds, leaving as little residue as water filtered through cheesecloth. His pants were splattered with blood, Viola said. Khakis, I think. Tan pants, anyway. The slowly swiveling fan stirred the leaves of a potted palm in one corner of the room, raising from its fronds a dry rustling that made me think of cockroaches scurrying and rats. Nothing good. Reading the last details of her dream that yet remained in the cheesecloth of memory, Viola said, a polo shirt. I got up from the sofa. I needed to move. I realized that the room was too small for pacing, but I remained on my feet. Green, Viola said, a green polo shirt. I thought of the guy behind the shoe rental counter at Green Moon Lanes. The blonde drawing beer behind the bar, both in their new work uniforms. Her voice growing even quieter, Viola said, tell me the truth, Aude. Look at my face. Do you see death in me? I said, yes. That's it. Chapter 24. See you next time.